welcome back. This is Joel. Hope everyone had a good couple of weeks, right? So I've been getting quite some requests on doing a video on DUO, right? Now there are a lot of cool features about DUO. You know, basically the multi-factor authentication gateway, right, which is one of them. But there are a lot of other cool things which we can do with DUO as well. So I thought I'll just pick a simple use case, right, with VPNs, right? We all know about VPNs, right? Or if you want a little bit of a depth analysis of VPNs, you can again go back to my channel. There are quite some videos on VPNs. So what we are going to do is in this particular video, we are going to actually set up we are basically going to set up clientless VPN, right, and also Anyconnect remote access VPN, right? So, and we are going to make use of DUO, right, for the login, right, for the user logins, right? So that's a very simple use case. But again, I did not want to directly start from DUO. Rather, I wanted to also configure the VPNs on record here, so that you guys can like replicate the exact lab, right, for for your educational purposes. All right, so that being said, so this is a very simple lab. That being said, right, you have your ASA here, and you've also have maybe think of this side as like the remote user, right, who is probably working from home, right? And this is the enterprise network. You have the ASA, and it is protecting some very secretive inside server, and there is a small management network on the top, right? Think of this edge device as maybe an edge or maybe like a service provider, right, like an ISP, right? So the IP address, numbering, everything is given, right? So yeah, I think we are good. So let's actually look at the documentation a little bit, right? So this video is going to be slightly different from my previous videos, where I'm gonna like go with the documentation and kind of want to give you an idea about how I learn new topics, right? I mean, it's always from the documentation, right, or probably from some of the books, right? So in this video, I'll just go through the documentation, and we are gonna configure it together, right? And let's see how we set up this DUO multi-factor authentication. Cool. That being said, let's come back to my so where are we right now? So right now my ASAV, right, the game plan today is that step number 1, we are going to configure clientless and as well as Anyconnect client VPN, right? We're going to configure simple VPNs, right, without DUO, right? We are going to configure it with local authentication, and then in the second part of the video we'll introduce DUO, right? So I think that should give a good idea. So let's start with very simple VPN stuff, right? This box is completely new, this Cisco ASA. So let's start with some very simple configurations, right? I like to, you can configure the whole ASA VPN directly from the ASDM, but I like to do it a little bit of it from the CLI as well, right? I'm basically a CLI person. Cool. So that being said, let's put in I already have my configs here, right? So I'm gonna quickly paste them. Basically, to start with, we're gonna put in the IP addresses on the interfaces. This is the outside interface, and this is the inside interface. So there you go. You can relate this with that topology which I showed you earlier, right? So once that is done, let's also put in an IP address for the management interface, right? So it's going to be 192.168.2.1. Looks good. Once we are done with that, let's basically use the Google DNS, right? I did not set up a DNS for myself. I'm going to directly use the Google DNS because I really have internet connectivity. And yeah, you would need internet connectivity when you do a DUO lab, because it has to authenticate with the DUO gateway, right? So we are basically going to use the DNS lookup on the outside interface, and the DNS server is 8.8.8. You guys probably know that. The domain name, some random domain name. I'm just going with bitsbliss.com, right? Cool. So that being done, what else? Now comes the interesting part. If you want to use ASDM, right, you need that ASDM image, right? Again, if you know your ASA very well, you can like skip this part of the video, right? But otherwise, stay with me, and let's wait. So let's put the ASDM image. So where is that image? Let me grab it. Give me a second. All right, so I've started my management PC. This is my management PC, and let me show it to you. Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to start a TFTP server here, right? So let's point the TFTP to probably the desktop. There you go. So it's pointing to desktop, and this is my ASDM image over here, right? So let me do TFTP, right? So let's do TFTP. So we'll do copy TFTP colon, the IP address is 192.168.2.100, I believe, and let's get the name of that. What's the name of that? Or probably I know it already. Let me check. So yeah, I know the name. This is the name of the ASDM image, right? And where do you want to put it? Let's put it in probably disk 0, right? There you go. So this is gonna do a TFTP and it's gonna copy. So yeah, there you go, it has started. Let me pause the video and come back once it is completely done. Alright, so meanwhile that is happening, I actually thought let me quickly take you through the different ways. So I have actually opened up the documentation here for Duo, and this documentation lists the various ways you can use login, the various login options for your VPN, right? There are actually quite a lot. You have the single sign-on, which is kind of like the best, right? Because when you connect to the VPN using the client, you will basically get that interactive GUI, right? But it needs SAML, right? Which probably we will cover, maybe down the line if I'm playing around with that. But other than that, you have other options. You have a very good flowchart as well, what each of those options do. Let me quickly go down to the stuff which we are doing. We are doing ASA SSL VPN using LDAP. So this is what we are going to do, right? So finally, after completing this lab, what we will be able to do is we'll have the user here, right? You can see the user. So the user will try to either let's assume Anyconnect, right? Using Anyconnect, he'll connect, he'll put in the username, he'll put in the password, and then he'll also put in some kind of either a Duo passcode, or he'll ask Duo to kind of send a push notification, right? I'll show you that on mobile phone. And once you provide all that information, it goes to the ASA, right? And from there, it will do the primary authentication, which is in our case a local authentication. So that's why it's called multi-factor, right? The first authentication happens here. Then after 2 you see 3, right? The next step is basically the ASA will basically send a request to the Duo cloud, right? And the Duo cloud will send a push notification to your phone, right? And on my phone I'm going to approve it, right? And that goes back, right, from the Duo cloud to your ASA, and you can see 5, 6, it finally comes back and you are approved, right? ASA basically says, hey, yeah, this is Joel, let's approve him inside, right? So we're going to do the same thing for both, for my SSL VPN, clientless VPN as well as Anyconnect. Now let's go back and check if, yeah, there you go. So that's done, which means I think we are good to go and set the image. So let's go and set the image, ASDM image, disk 0, that's important. Let's put in a couple of users, right? I'm going to put username, let's put Joel, right? I'm going to use my own name this time. Password, I think probably Cisco. Privilege, let's use, I know, 15, right? Let's probably use one more account, right? Let's say Cisco, and password, we'll go with Cisco again, privilege, and 15. Sweet. So there you go. So we have a couple of users, local users created on the ASA, which is a good thing. Probably let's also create a route, right? I'm using static routing and not dynamic routing here. So when I say static routing, if you go back to my topology here, give me a second, looks like my screen is a bit hung here, so yeah, let's pause it. All right, so we are back. What was I doing? Let's go back here. We have put in a couple of users, so let's also put in what we say a static route. Why do we need a static route? If you go back to my topology, since it's basically me simulating, I'm gonna put a static route on the ASA telling all the outbound traffic basically sending to this edge device or ISP router, right? So there it goes, that's the static route. I'm doing this because this ASA is completely fresh, right? I'm doing everything right out of here. All right, let's also enable HTTP because we would need that for our ASDM to work. We can enable HTTP on the management interface. I'm going to do it actually on both. Probably don't do this in your production network. I might have to do some testing later, so I'm going to enable it on both. Anyway, so that's done. That being said, let's see what else. So let's, for authentication of HTTP, let's enable local authentication, right? So that ASDM is able to connect to your ASA. Let's also go and put in a little bit of what you say. We'll create some keys, right? The crypto keys, because they'll be basically very useful. So I'm going to say, I know, maybe bits please, right? Modulus 1024 sounds good. So that's done. And let's create a trust point, which is important. Okay, there you go. So I'm going to say the trust point is maybe bits, right? Just call it bits. The enrollment I think would be self. Sorry, I think it's spelling mistake over there. All right, so enrollment self. We can also probably create a subject name. So let's create that. It's going to be asa1.bitsplease.com. Sweet. And maybe a FQDN also will be needed. FQDN. All right, so let's go and do that. Sweet. And yeah, so I think that's good, and we can probably enroll this particular we can enroll what? We can enroll this particular trust point, which is bits, right? So you're gonna do that. I think it's no confirm, my bad. Okay, so there you go. So that's all taken care. Did we do the DNS? I'm not sure. Let me check. Yes, the DNS is done. So we are basically reaching to the DNS on the outside interface, and all of that looks good. Cool. Okay, so all of that is good. So we are, I think, good to go about doing the ASDM configuration. So I like to do a little bit of, like I said, basic configuration using CLI, and then we are going to jump on to my ASDM. So let's go here. Let's stop this guy. I don't need him anymore. Let's spin up this ASDM here. Okay, there you go. So I can log in. The IP address is correct, so I'm going to log in with the password Cisco, right? So let's try to log in. Probably take few seconds. You can see it's going to take few seconds. Let me just pause it and come back. All right, so it's come back. So now from now on, we are basically, like I said, we are going to configure the basic VPN, right? Clientless VPN, Clientless and Anyconnect, right? We're going to do it together. So let's go to configuration. Let's go to the wizards here, right? Let's click on which one? Anyconnect. Oh my bad. Let's go back. Yeah, there you go. So we're going to click on the Anyconnect. Click next. We can give a name, connection profile name. I'm going to say maybe remote access VPN probably, right? Let's go to next. Let's enable both SSL and IPsec, not an issue. Let's use the device certificate which we earlier created using CLI. Click next. Images. So we would need Anyconnect image, which I already have on my local system. Sorry, not in Flash, so I'll have to upload it. So let's click on upload and browse local files, right? So it should be somewhere here. So let's click on that. Let's click on users. Let's click on downloads, and it should be somewhere here. Let's do, okay, here. So we've got this guy here, right? The .pkg file. So I'm going to select that guy, upload. You can download the Anyconnect pkg from CCO, right? Pretty simple. I think I have the latest version up here, so that's good. It's currently getting uploaded. Let's wait for that to finish. Okay, it's going on. Good. Is my system good? Yeah, looks good. All right, it's completed. So let's click on OK, and yeah, let's say upload, right? So okay, is it already uploaded? Probably not. Let's see. Let's close that. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna say OK here, right? The only thing what we are doing is from the local laptop we are uploading the Anyconnect image into ASDM, right? Or ASA basically. So click on next. It's asking for authentication. Like I said, we're going to use primary authentication, which is nothing but going to be local. So I'm going to say Joel, right? So that's good. So I'm going to click on next. Nothing to do here. We are good here. Okay, we have to create a pool, because when you create a VPN tunnel, you need a pool, don't you? So you're going to say, I don't know, maybe DUO pool, right? DUO has actually, let me not put DUO over there, because DUO has nothing to do with the pool, right? So let's say just VPN, right? And okay, my system is hanging a bit. Give me a second. Okay. All right, so that's better, I guess. So let's say VPN pool 172.16.1.1, right? And maybe 172.16.1.2, 1.10 would be better. This is any, you can choose any pool. I'm just using this, right? I'm gonna use probably /24 as a subnet. There you go. Click on next. The DNS remains the same. I don't have NAT, so I'm not gonna click on that. And yeah, you're gonna allow the web launch. There you go. That's good. Finish. So that's how simple it is, to set up a VPN using ASA. So there you go. So it's gonna push all this cool configuration onto the box, which is totally fine, right? Let's review from the left side up here, something which I like to do. Let's just pull this a little bit here. Yeah. So what do we have here? So Anyconnect profiles, we really don't want these guys, right? So let's disable them. The only profile is, the connection profile which we are using is the RA VPN profile, nothing else. Let's probably click on this and see if we have to do any more settings. So this all looks good. And yeah, I think we are pretty good. So this is selected. That looks good for now. So I'm going to close that. And let's come down to probably Anyconnect client profile. Right, this looks good. I'm gonna click on edit to see if anything has to be done. Oh yeah, so let's probably, I'm not sure if I'll be doing RDP later, so let's just enable allow remote users, right? That's one thing. And let's also increase the timeout for the Anyconnect from 30 to 60, right? Because if I take a little bit of time to address my push notification, it'll be helpful. The other thing is, let's also go to the servers, click on that and edit it. And rather using the IP address, let's use the FQDN. So there was a bug long time back. I don't know if this is fixed, where it wouldn't work without the FQDN. So let's, to be safe, I'm gonna say asa1bitsplease.com, and that's good and good. All right, that's good. So let's say apply. Every time you configure something, make sure that you apply, right? So looks good. What else? So let's go back to ASA. Okay, nothing to do here. This looks good. Group policies, right? So this guy is the group policy which we just now created. Let's click on edit to make sure everything is good here. Okay, nothing to do. You can do split tunneling if you want. Probably for IKE VPN, I'm gonna disable IKE VPN for the default profiles. Probably if you want, I'm going to enable it here. And I really don't like using any of the default profiles, so I'm going to just keep only my profile enabled, right? But generally it's going to do IKE v2, so we are good here. Security, okay, nothing to do here. So let's go to the clientless side, right? So remember, we are doing both clientless and with client, so let's check this as well. So see here, this is not enabled, so let's disable this one. Let's enable it for our for the profile which we have, right? The connection profile. Let's keep this checked. Let's just click on edit to see what's happening. All of this looks good. The authentication, okay, all of that is fine. Do we have to do anything here? This is enabled, so that's good. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm happy with what we have. I believe it's probably time to check if our VPN is working, right? Our basic VPN without Anyconnect, right? So let's say apply. And I'm going to apply that, and I think it's applied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my client. Give me a second. All right, so what is my client? This is my client, right? I'm going to open this guy over here, right, via VNC. And let's first check if he has connectivity to, sorry, I clicked on something else. This is pretty slow, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. Okay, so let's go here. Let's do a ping to 20.0.0.2, which is my ASA. There you go. There is connectivity, which means I'm good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a continuous ping to where? To my inside server, which is 192.168. I keep forgetting. What is it? I think it's 1.10 if I'm not wrong. Let me double check. So this is my inside server. Please spot an IP for me. Yeah, it's 192.168.1.10. It's nothing but IOL device, right? It's not an actual server. So yeah, 192.168.1.10. Let's start a continuous ping. Right now you see it's not able to reach, but once we connect the VPN, it should be. So let's go to probably, let's start with the what what is it, SSL VPN. Hope this is visible. Let me just increase a little bit. Okay, so let's wait for the guy to come up. All right, looks good. So let's go to HTTP and click on the IP address of my ASA. So it's trying to load, I believe. Okay, it's giving me a self-signed error, but that's fine. I'm gonna say proceed. Probably don't do this in your actual environment prod. You really need certificates. There you go. It's giving me the username, password. I'm gonna use Joel, and password is Cisco. Let's see if it logs me in. All right, I think it did. Right? Let's wait for the completion page to appear. Yeah, there you go. Right, so this is literally my connectionless VPN. Now let's go and try. Let's go down. Right, still, I mean, you will not have connectivity because that's just browser based VPN, right? Clientless. For your connectivity to work, you would need to go to your Anyconnect, right? And let's go and go to asa1.bitsplease.com, right? And let's click connect. So now it's going to try to connect. There you go. It's going to say, I'm going to always trust this one. That's all right. So it's going to ask me for the password. I'm going to say Cisco and click on enter, and hope it works. So VPN was a huge topic when I was studying for my CCI security, and I'm pretty sure it should work because that's something which I had practiced a lot. So yeah, there you go. Right, it got connected. But okay, so let's scroll down a little bit. Maybe our this guy started working. I'm not sure. Let's see. Or maybe he's hung. Okay, there you go. Right, you can see the reply has started to work, which means because I'm inside VPN, it is able to talk to the inside server, right? Which is good. Cool. So till now, whatever we did, let's actually probably disconnect the VPN now, right? So you see the VPN was connected successfully, which means the local authentication worked. Now we are gonna do the same thing with DUO, right? So let's go back to the documentation. So for the documentation, like I said, there are different ways. I'm gonna click on this guy, which basically opens up this one, right? So, and it is a very exhaustive, very nice documentation. You can just follow step by step, right? So first step, okay, obviously we're not gonna see the video. We will directly proceed with okay, what is the first step? So there are two certificates, right? Starting from 9.13. So let's say our version, I believe my version is, let's see, so show version, I think, sorry, if I'm not wrong, it has to be 9. Okay, there you go. So 9.14, right? Bad luck. So which means I really need these two certificates, right? These two certificates you can download from here and transfer it to your management PC. I have already done it. So let's go and import those two certificates. Where do you do that? So you go to certificate management, click on CA certificates. You see I don't have them. I'm gonna say add, browse it. You see these two certificates, you have to basically download those and install them. So there you go, install certificate, and that worked. Let's close this and do once again because there is one more certificate, right? So let's click on the second one, install, and there you go, done. So we're done with the first important step, which is nice. Next, what do we do next? So that was all about this. Then we can modify the sign in page. So right now you see when I clicked on the clientless VPN, I just got the username password, but obviously when you're doing multi-factor authentication, you would need the ASA to ask you if you want to kind of do if you want to send a push, right? Or if you want to send a SMS to your phone. So that's something which we are going to do now. So that's pretty simple as well. So what you got to do is, I think it's good time to show you my DUO page now. So let's go to my DUO, right? So let's go to my dashboard. So it's timed out. So let's give me a second. Let me just log in. All right. So DUO basically gives you like a 30-day free trial, right? So you can create your own account and you can try it as well. And you have various options. Please reach out to your Cisco representatives, to understand which is better for you, right? There are different options, right? I'm personally using Beyond, but there are different options here to check out for your organization, right? Now that being said, let's go back to the dashboard. What I've done till now is users. So I've added a user, right? Right now I am the admin of this particular DUO portal. At the same time, I've added my Android phone as a user as well, right? You can see this is the active user called Joel, right? So it's pretty simple to add a user. You can see you just click on add here, and it is like a self like it will give you like a next. It's pretty simple to add a user. Anyone can add it, right? So there you go. So I've added a user. Then the next thing you got to do is you got to go to applications, right? So you go to applications and you can search. You can click on protect an application, and you can search. There are a lot of applications. You can see these are all the applications which DUO can protect. Now in my case, I wanted ASA, so I'm going to put in ASA, and you get many options. Just select ASA SSL VPN and click on protect. Now I've already clicked on the protect, so I already have the application here, which means let's go back to the applications, and there you go, right? So I've already clicked on that, so it has given me this option. So I can now click here and I can show you, right? This is how my application page looks like, right? Don't worry, you can't use my creds, because I will obviously, as soon as I finish this video, I'm gonna remove the application, so those credentials will not be valid anymore, right? But yeah, so this is basically the important part of your application credentials, is what I would like to call. You've got the API host name, you got a secret key, and then you got a integration key, right? That's it. I mean, you don't have to do anything else, right? So this is all you have to do on the DUO website once you create your own account. Now let's go back to our let's go back to our cool documentation here, right? So where are we? We have to modify the sign in page. So that's okay. There's one more thing which I probably forgot, right? Let's go back here, and you see there is an option to download something, right? So when you click on this download, you'll get a zip file. And if you unlock that zip file, you'll basically get a JavaScript file, right? It's just a JavaScript file. I'll show you how it looks, but yeah, as simple as that. You just need to click this, download it, and then obviously move it to your management PC. So that's what we are going to use now. So what we'll do is, as a next step, let's go to Clientless SSL VPN. Let's click on portal, right? Let's click on the web contents. Let's import, right, from your local flash. See, this is the JavaScript file which I was telling, right? Why JavaScript? Because I will actually show you where it appears, but think of it as a step for now, right? So you've got a JavaScript file, and let's import it, right? Select, I mean, you don't really need to have authentication to come to this page. I'm going to select no here and import, right? It got imported. Next step, let's go to the customization here, right? So let's click on the default customization, which is already there. Let's click on the title page here, and there you go, right? It's called, let's put, I don't know, maybe bits please. Put in, okay. So we're gonna say bits please VPN service, right? Imagine this is my VPN service, and you can put any title you want. And let's go back to the documentation here. Yeah, here you go. So in this particular step, it's gonna tell you to put in a small JavaScript code here, right? So let's copy this, right? Control C, and let's come here, back here, right? And you gotta paste it, right? Make sure that here, this is a general JavaScript, so this one has to change. Remember, in my JavaScript file earlier when I showed you, it was v6, right? So you make sure that you change that. The rest looks good, so I'm going to say okay, right? Looks good for me, and I'm going to say apply. Okay, good, that's good. What do we do next? Let's come back to the documentation. So we are done with that step. Next, adding the DUO LDAP server. So that's interesting. So let's try that. So how do you do that? Let's close this. Let's go to this guy, right? AAA local users. Let's go to the server groups, and here let's add. So I'm gonna say DUO, and I want to do LDAP, right? But you see here in the drop down, you have many options. So these are all the options which you can try for DUO, right? I mean, not all. Obviously, you can try LDAP. Probably a couple of them more as well. I need to check all, but yeah, the ones which I've tried is Radius and LDAP. So I'm going to select LDAP because we are trying to talk to the DUO gateway using LDAP here, right? So gonna use LDAP, click on OK, highlight that, come down here, click the servers, right? Here, you're basically telling the interface through which you're gonna reach the DUO gateway, which is outside interface. Now this is where we need those credentials. What credentials? Let's come back to the credentials page. So these are my credentials, right? So API host name, let's copy this guy, right? Let's copy this one. Let's go back here, and let's put it here, right? This is where the API host name goes. Let's increase this timeout to, like I said, 60 seconds, right? That's too much. 60 seconds, cool. Let's enable LDAP over SSL, and we need to put in the base DN. How do you put the base DN? Let's come back here. So for the base DN, if you look at the documentation, where is the documentation? Yeah, there you go, right? For base DN, let's just copy this for now, right? So, okay, let's paste it. Okay, I think I pasted something wrong. Let's get rid of that. Let's try it again. Okay, so let's copy this one, and because it's Windows and Mac, right, you always get confused. Okay, there you go. So the integration key, what is going to be the integration key, right? You see here, they are asking us to put in the integration key. Again, go back to your documentation, copy this, right? This is your integration key, copy it, and let's go back here. Let's put this guy over here, right? Control V. Okay, there you go. That's good. We can, to make your job easier, just copy the whole thing, and you would need it where? Again, you would need it here at the login DN as well. Let's put it here, right? The naming attribute is going to be CN, right? Again, all of this is there in the documentation. I'm not just making it up, right? You can see here, they are literally telling you what to put where. Okay, so there you go, right? We have put in the attributes. The last thing is we got to put the login password, which can be obtained from here, right? So let's copy this guy, right? This is something which you should never share, right? Obviously now you can see from my screen, but like I said, I'm going to delete this application, so you'll probably not have access to it. That being said, yeah, so that's good. So what we're going to do next is, let's come here and let's put in the password, right? Sweet, that looks good. Hope it got copied. Let me just double check. Did it get copied? I'm always confused about that. So let's just paste it here probably. Yeah, that was copied. Okay, cool. So that being said, so we are done with that. So we are done with all of that stuff. So we can just say, I guess, okay, right? Let's apply this, right? So give me a second to connect my phone now. All right. So what I've done is I've connected my phone, right, to my laptop to show you how the authentication works. So now what we can do is we can test this, right? So I'm going to say click on test, right? Go back to the authentication, put in the username, which is Joel, right? This is the username which is there in my DUO. This is the user which is there in my DUO gateway, right? And let's don't put any password, just type PUSH, push, right? Or you can say phone, right? And it will do automatically, right? So what I'm going to do is let's grab my phone here. So that's my phone. Hope I can show you this side by side. Let me try that. Okay, there you go. Not that shabby. So there you go. My phone is on the right, right? So I'm going to say, okay, right? Now the authentication is basically going in, right? There you go. See, I got authentication. I'm going to tap on this guy, right? You can see it's coming up, I guess, or probably not. So, okay, maybe that doesn't, okay. So that doesn't show up over there, but I basically approved my DUO push, right? So, and you can see it succeeded, right? So there you go. So that's basically what I wanted to show you over there. So let's remove my phone out of the way because I don't want you guys to see my notifications. Give me a sec. All right, so we are back. So I'm going to click on OK here, right? So we are done with the whole checking if our authentication is working good, which I just now showed you. So we can go to the next step. And the last part is we are basically going to tell my VPN to use this as my second two-factor or MFA authentication, right? So let's go back here and let's go to the connection profiles, right? This is my connection profile. I'm going to edit this guy. Let's go here. Let's go to the secondary authentication, right? And let's click here and let's select the DUO LDAP, which we just now created. Let's use primary username, hide the secondary username on login page, because literally what is happening now with your multi-factor authentication, you don't have two usernames, you just have one username, don't you, right? It's Joel, just Joel. So we are basically going to hide the second one, and you'll see what happens, right? So let's click on, okay, yeah, that looks good. Let's apply this guy. So that's good. Let's go back and check if we have taken care of all the steps. Okay, that's it. So there is one more step probably kind of missing in that. I mean, it's there in the documentation, you have to dig it a bit. So, or maybe it's just with the okay, this is, let's go back to reset. Yeah, so it's this is a issue which I found in my ASA, and thank God DUO folks have put in a nice documentation around it. So I think it's kind of like a bug, so I had to fix it using a little bit of hacky way here, right? So we just need to dump this configuration on the box to fix that. So let's do that. So we need web VPN, then HTTP headers. So let's go back to my CLI here. Okay, okay, so let's go to config mode. Let's do web VPN. Let's put HTTP headers, right? And we will have to put in the content security policy. Like I said, I'm using 9.14, right? So I have to, without this it did not really work, so I have to basically go with this approach. So this is pretty straightforward though. So you just need to put this here, and after the HTTPS you need to grab your API key from here, right? So let's copy that and let's go back here, right? There we go. That's it. So that's basically taking care of everything. Let's go to ASDM and let's refresh it here, right? So all the configs are taken care, and I think we are right now good to go and test, right? Let's just verify if we have taken care of all steps. Yeah, there we go. That's good. So what I'm going to do is again connect my phone back to the laptop. All right, so that looks good. So what I'm going to do is quickly go back to the earlier page here, probably log out of here, right, from the earlier SSL VPN, right, and let's open a new tab. So hope that got logged out. So we can do HTTP again, click on the same ASA IP address, right? So this time let's wait, and okay, so it's asking for username, password. I'm going to go with Joel and Cisco. This is my primary authentication. Let's click on login, and now it should actually redirect to, yeah, there you go, right? So you see it's redirecting, or it's giving me the DUO push. So I'm going to say click on or send me push. There you go. You see I got the DUO push. So I'm going to approve it over there, right, like a nice person. So I upload it, and what is happening, right? It's trying to authenticate me in, and if everything goes as per the plan, there you go. So we have enabled multi-factor authentication with our clientless VPN. Let's try the same thing. Let's try the remote access as well. You can see it's not able to connect here, so that's good. Let's go ahead with connecting asa1.bitsplace.com. Right, the first password is going to be Cisco, local password, and for the second password I'm going to type push, PUSH, right? So when I do that, I should, as usual, get a notification. There you go. So I got it. I'm going to approve that guy. So the job with my phone is done, so I can remove him from there. Meanwhile, let's wait for my authentication to succeed. There you go, it's connected, right? As soon as it is connected, we should start the, there you go, the ping is connected now, right? You see the ping is working. So what did we do, guys, here? It's pretty simple, right? I mean, setting up the VPN was more difficult than setting up the multi-factor authentication. So let me disconnect it. I don't need it anymore. Just to conclude on what we did, let's look at this nice diagram here. What we did was we had the user here, right, which is my client, and from the client I used my username, password, right, and the DUO factor, which was multi-factor authentication. It's basically either it can be you can ask DUO to send you a SMS, or you can type in push so that you get a push notification, right? And once you did that, the ASA kind of did its primary authentication. Then it went back to the DUO gateway and did the secondary authentication by sending you a push. Once the push succeeded all the way it came back, the ASA allowed you inside, right? We did the same thing for Anyconnect as well as for what? For your clientless VPN, right? These are all the three options which you can. Now, how it differs is what we did was using LDAP, right? but obviously you can do the same thing using Radius as well, right, where the flow slightly changes. The best option is to try single sign-on, because right now if you see in my Anyconnect, when I connected, it did not give me those that interactive option just like it gave for the clientless, right? With Anyconnect, it did not give me that interactive option. So if you want that interactive option, right, with Anyconnect, then it's better to try the single sign-on, right? So hope that was useful, and hope you guys have a good year, right?